If you're anything like me, the idea of not drinking terrifies you. And not because of the alcohol, but because of the stress. How will you handle your job, your kids, your life without that wine or that beer at 6 p.m.? That glass of wine was my stress management, and I didn't know if I could handle life without. What I'm going to show you today is called the pit stop method. Now, the pit stop method is a system that I teach inside my program that shows you how to handle real stress, the stress that doesn't go away when you stop drinking, without needing alcohol as your. Now, this isn't about eliminating stress. This isn't about willpower. This is about staying in the race without blowing a tire. Now, here's what most people believe. I'm stressed because of my job, my kids, my schedule, and the drinking helps me manage that. But that's not what's actually happening. Alcohol creates artificial stress. Now, when people stop drinking, people with the same hectic lives, the same demanding jobs, their stress levels drop by 80 to 90%. Not because their life got easier, but because the thing creating the artificial stress is gone. But here's the problem. That remaining 10 to 20%, that's real. And for the first time in years, you don't have alcohol as your buffer. You've never learned how to handle stress without alcohol doing it for you. So that's the broken model. And that's what's keeping you stuck. You think that alcohol helps stress, but it's actually creating 80 to 90% of it. Now let me show you the actual system for handling the remaining real stress. The pit stop method works like this. Formula One drivers go fast, but they take strategic pit stops to change the tires before they blow, not afterwards. It's the same with stress. So the pit stop method has 3 different phases. Let me walk you through all 3. Phase number 1, spot the signal. You learn to catch stress when it's a 2 out of 10, not a 10 out of 10. Like spotting the dashboard red light before you blow a tire. Phase 2 is the mental calibration. You stop amplifying stress with the stories you tell yourself. And phase number 3, performance mode. You stay in the race and stress becomes neutral. It just doesn't trigger you back to drinking. Now this is how to handle real stress without needing alcohol to regulate you. Now let me break down each phase in detail. So phase number 1, spot the signal. This is what I call the 2 out of 10 rule. And here's the mistake that most people make when they stop drinking. They've been using alcohol to regulate emotions at a 10 out of 10. Heart racing, completely overwhelmed, about to explode, drink, reset. But now alcohol's gone, so they wait until they're a 10 out of a 10 stressed again, and then they try to regulate naturally. By that point, your nervous system is flooded. Your prefrontal cortex is offline, and your brain is screaming for the only tool it knows, alcohol. The solution? Spot the signal at 2 out of 10. Think of it like your car's dashboard. You don't wait until your engine blows to check the warning light. You catch it when it's a red light, not a breakdown. You check in with yourself when stress is still manageable. Where's my stress levels right now? How is stress showing up in my body? For some people, it's sweaty palms. For other people, it's a tight chest or butterflies in the stomach. You learn to recognize your stress signals when they're small, so that you can take action when they're a 2 out of 10 and not wait until they're a 10 out of a 10. And here's what most people don't realize. By the time you feel the urge to drink, your stress has already been at a 7 or an 8 for hours. You just didn't notice. The drink isn't managing stress. It's the emergency brake after you've already been in crisis mode all day. And this is why white knuckling fails. You're trying to hit the emergency brake at a 10 out of a 10 for the first time without alcohol. You need to spot the signal at a 2 out of 10. So that's phase 1, spot the signal. Phase number 2, mental calibration. This is all about stopping the story. Here's what happens when you feel stressed. Your brain immediately starts writing a story. I can't handle this, this is going to be a disaster, I need a drink. That's not the emotion, that's the story. And the story is what turns a 3 out of 10 stress moment into a 9 out of 10 crisis. Now let me show you what I mean. You're stressed at work. Story number 1. I'm stressed, cool, everybody's stressed, this is going to pass. Story number 2. I'm stressed, fuck, my heart's racing, this isn't good, I can't tolerate this, I'm going to screw this up, I'm going to get fired, I need a drink. It's the same emotion, but a completely different outcome. Mental calibration is about learning to catch the story before it spirals. Because the story you tell yourself about the stress determines whether it passes or whether it becomes a reason to drink. Let me say that again. The story you tell yourself about stress determines whether it passes or whether it becomes a reason to drink. The stress will always be there, but the story you tell yourself either lets it pass or it turns into a crisis. That's what you control. So that's phase number 2, the mental calibration, or stopping the story. Now, final phase number 3, performance mode. And this is where stress becomes neutral. Stress isn't going to disappear. Yes, 80 to 90% of the artificial stress goes away when you stop drinking, but the remaining 10 to 20%, that's real. AI, technology, families, economy, life is objectively difficult right now. So the goal isn't to eliminate stress. The goal is to enter performance mode. Performance mode is what happens when you've done phase 1 and phase 2 enough times that stress stops feeling like a crisis. It's just information. It passes. You stay in the race. I feel stressed. That's data. It doesn't mean I need alcohol. For the first time, you're learning to handle real stress without alcohol as your buffer. And when stress becomes neutral, it stops becoming a trigger, and that's when you have true alcohol freedom. So those are the 3 phases of the pit stop method. Phase 1, spot the signal. Phase 2, mental calibration, stop the story. And phase 3, performance mode, where stress becomes neutral. Now let me show you the mechanism behind why this works. Emotions last for 90 seconds. That's it. A wave of stress passes through your body in 90 seconds, unless you turn it into a story. The only reason a moment of stress becomes a spiral back to drinking is a story that you tell yourself about what the emotion means. I can't handle this, I'm going to fail, I need to take the edge off. That's not the emotion, that's the story. And here's what nobody tells you. For years, you've been using alcohol to shortcut this process. You feel stressed, you drink, the emotion disappears. But you never learned to let it pass naturally. You never learned that if you just wait 90 seconds without turning it into a story, the emotion passes on its own. You don't need to fix it. You don't need alcohol. You just need to stop turning it into a story. That's the mechanism behind the pit stop method. So that's the aha moment. Emotions only last for 90 seconds unless you turn them into a story. Now let me show you how to apply this system starting today. Take 3 pit stops every day. Morning when you wake up, midday at lunchtime, and evening at dinner. At each pit stop, ask yourself 2 questions. Where's my stress levels right now? Do I need a pit stop before I keep going? That could be a walk, water, a 5-minute break. That's it. You're training yourself to spot the signal when you're a 2 out of 10 instead of waiting until you're a 10 out of a 10. And here's what's happening over time. You'll start noticing the early warning signs naturally. You won't need the rigid reminders anymore. You'll just know when you need a pit stop because you've trained your brain to recognize stress when it's still small. Formula One drivers don't wait until a tire blows, and neither should you. So remember, 3 pit stops every day, morning, midday, evening. 2 questions at each. So that's the pit stop method. It's not about eliminating stress, it's not about willpower, it's about learning to manage the stress and spotting it when it's a 2 out of a 10 and stop turning the stress into a story. Now, this is just one piece of achieving complete alcohol freedom. If you want the complete system, the alcohol freedom protocol, that eliminates the desire entirely in 100 days, I've made a full video breaking it down. And it should be here or here.